In this video, we got another episode of the series where I rate and improve your guys' teams. You guys will send me your teams on Twitter at X7Tanak, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions to help improve your squad, and I'll give you guys a rating 1 through 10. Could be a 6, a 7, 8, a 9, or a 10, whatever I do think about your squad. And also, guys, if you want to let me know in the YouTube comment section down below, let me know what your guys' team's looking like, and let me know how much MT you guys have, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions to help improve your team. But looking at the first team here coming in from Noodles, he's got a really good squad and about a million MT. I mean, for the rating 1 through 10, I mean, this is honestly one of the best teams you can build in the game. I would say easily a 9.5 out of 10. Really don't need too many suggestions. For me, with a million MT, you can't really do much. I mean, I would upgrade your backup shooting guard, whether you want to get a Terry Dishinger or you want to get a Kazi Russell. I think both those guys will be better alongside a guy like Shea and just a better shooting guard than Luol Deng. What I would also recommend doing is whoever you choose between Kazi Russell and Terry Dishinger, I would start them over Dr. J, or I would start Tim Thomas and have LeBron off the bench. Because, for example, if you have, let's say, Kazi Russell at the backup shooting guard spot, you're really not going to have enough defense, right? Shea, Kazi, Tim Thomas, and Dolph is going to be a weak, defensive lineup. I mean, you do have Tim Duncan at center. So what I would do is if you're going to get Kazi Russell or Terry Dishinger, I would start them and either have Dr. J off the bench or switch LeBron and Tim Thomas, or even switch Shea and Penny Hardaway just to balance out the lineups a little bit. But overall, a really good looking squad. That'd be my only suggestion for this team. And then next squad here coming in from Sauce God, he has a little under 100,000 MT, and he's got D Mitch over Gilbert. He's saying, should I use D Mitch over Gilbert? And I would say definitely, to answer the question, definitely yes. I do think D Mitch is a way better point guard than a guy like Gilbert Arenas. For the rating out of 10, I mean, a pretty good squad. I would say definitely a little bit worse than the last team. He does have Dr. J though, which is really nice. Luol Deng. I mean, I would say probably an 8.5 out of 10. It's definitely a good squad. I think there's obviously some improvements and some suggestions you can have. I would say for the first suggestion, definitely get rid of Gilbert Arenas, play D Mitch like we said. So now your point guards are good between Lonzo and Gilbert Arenas. For your shooting guards, I would actually move Luol Deng to the backup 2 and then have him and Dr. J as your shooting guards. For your small forwards, I do like Jonathan Isaac, but if you have 100,000 MT, I would bring him off the bench and pick up a guy like Cincy Nice Powell. Cincy is about 50,000 MT, so that'd be half of your budget, and then he can start and you can have Jonathan Isaac off the bench. For your power forwards, I like Thurl Bailey, I like Bam Adebayo. For what I would do for the center position though, I like Boogie Cousins. I would just try to save up for Kareem. So the only suggestion you can really make, the only improvement you can make right now, is move Jonathan Isaac to the backup 3 and get yourself a Cincy Nice Powell for the small forward spot. For your backup center, like I said, you can't really make an upgrade right now, but what I would do is try to save up for Kareem and then get him and play him as your starting center or your backup center as well. But overall, a pretty good looking squad. And the next team here, guys, comes in from BM4. This is his team and he has 300,000 MT. So looking at the squad here, a pretty decent team. I would say this is also probably an 8 to 8.5. I would say 8.5 out of 10. I mean, you got Terry Dishinger, you got D-Rob, Bam. I'm not really the biggest fan of this Laurie marketing card. Jared Wallace is pretty solid as well. So I'd say 8.5 for the teams. Point guards and shooting guards, I think with 300,000 MT are good. Small forwards, I think that's definitely where you can upgrade. Power forwards, I would probably upgrade your backup 4 and your backup 5 as well. So first suggestion is going to be get Kristaps for your backup center position. For your backup 4, I'd probably end up getting Thurl Bailey. I mean, there are some more expensive options I can go with, like a Dolph Shays. If you wanted to spend that amount of MT, you could pair Shays and Kristaps as your backup 4 and 5. But if you want to save a bit of MT, I would just get Thurl Bailey for about 20,000 MT and then get Kristaps for about 35,000 for your backup center. And then for your small forward position, definitely get Cincy Powell, way better than Jared Wallace and way better than James Worthy. And then if you want to spend a bit more MT as well, I would get a guy like Carmelo Anthony. So your two small forwards could be Cincy starting and then Carmelo off the bench. And if you were to make those suggestions, I mean, that probably costs you around like 250,000 MT for Carmelo, Cincy, Kristaps, and Thurl Bailey as well. But once you do that, I think this team would easily be a 9 out of 10 and overall just a better squad in my opinion. Looking at the next team here though, coming in from Alpha, he's got 1.5 million MT and a really good looking squad, at least starting lineup wise. I mean, this is a really good starting lineup. I'm not really the biggest fan of D Mitch though at the shooting guard spot. I think your backcourt is definitely too short, but other than that, I think it's a pretty decent squad. Not really the biggest fan of your backup 4 and 5, especially with Bam at the power forward position, or especially Bam at the center position and George Mikan at center. So it seems like you like to run small ball, which I'm not really the biggest fan of doing that this year, just because mashing and just people running double bigs, you're definitely gonna get exposed by Kareems, D-Robs, and taller power forwards like Dwight and those type of players. So what I would do is first off decide who are your favorite power forwards. For me, it'd be George Mikan, or sorry, not George Mikan. For me, it'd be Sean Kemp and Bam Adebayo. Those would be my two power forwards. And then I would sell George Mikan and look to get two new centers, which I would easily go with David Robinson And D-Rob's about 250,000 MT and is easily the best center in the game. And then for your backup center, you can go between guys like Hakeem, Shaq, Kristaps, all really good options for your center position. Me personally, I'd probably go with Kristaps. He's the cheapest option and he's going to be really good alongside a guy like Bam, and then have Sean Kemp as your starting power forward. For your small forwards, I'd move Kazi Russell to the 2 and then have MJ as your backup shooting guard. For your small forwards, just like the last guy, honestly, I mean, if you want to spend a lot of MT, you could go ahead and pick up a really good small forward, but I would get Cincy and I would get LeBron probably as your 2 small forwards, or a guy like Carmelo Anthony as well. So your 2 small forwards, in my opinion, would be Cincy, Nice, Powell, and LeBron. Your 2 shooting guards would be Kazi Russell and MJ. And then I think your point guards are fine, whether you want to go Don Ol and D-Mitch as your 2 point guards, or whether you want to go Don Ol and Curry as your 2 point guards, or maybe D-Mitch and Curry as your 2 point guards. However you want to kind of structure that, you definitely can at the point guard position. So for me, your team could look something like Don Ol, D-Mitch, shooting guard would be Kazi Russell, Jordan, small forward would be, let's say, Cincy, Powell, LeBron, power forward would be Kemp and Bam, and then your centers would be D-Rob and Kristaps as well. For me, that team is a lot better and is way better than what your squad is rocking right now. You have some size and overall just a better lineup. Looking at the next team here though, coming in from Zaza, he doesn't want to spend more than 300,000 MT for a player, and this is his squad. Honestly, a pretty good team, I would say. I would say probably a 9 out of 10 for the rating. A very good team. For me, I would just try to upgrade your backup point guard and your backup shooting guard. You have 300,000 MT, so for point guard, you can definitely pick up a guy like Penny Hardaway. You have D-Mitch as well, so if you wanted to play D-Mitch over a guy like John Wall, that's definitely a possibility as well. For me though, I'd probably just get Penny Hardaway, and then for your shooting guard position, I would look to pick up a guy like Kazi Russell. Terry Dischinger is a little bit more than 300,000 MT, but you should be able to get Kazi for about 200,000 MT, maybe 250,000. If you don't want to go with Kazi though, I would just get Ricky Davis. He's about 80 to 90,000 MT. So if you want to spend, the littlest amount of MT, I would play D-Mitch at the point guard position over John Wall, and then I'd pick up Ricky Davis for the backup shooting guard position. I will say, if you are going to get Ricky, you don't want to run D-Mitch as well, because for example, if your lineup was D-Mitch, Ricky Davis, and Cincinnati's Powell, you're not going to have the greatest height and you're not going to be the greatest defensively. So I'd say if you want to go with a guy like Ricky Davis over Jimmy Butler, then I would get Penny Hardaway. So you could run Penny Hardaway, Ricky Davis, and Cincy. You have good offense from Ricky Davis and Cincinnati's Powell, and then you have some really good defense from Penny Hardaway and just some size as well. So that's what I do for your squad, but overall a really good looking squad. Next team here coming in from Christopher. He's got 72,000 MT and he does play on current gen PS4. So looking at the squad here, I mean, a pretty decent team. I do like your point guards, pretty decent point guards. Shooting guards are good. Small forwards, I mean, there's really no bad position except for the backup center. I like Bam, but just can't really play the center position, only being 6'9". So overall, it probably gives team maybe an 8 to 8.5 out of 10. Only real suggestion I would say with 72,000 MT is get rid of Kevin Garnett. If you can sell him, sell him. If you can't, then obviously just keep him. Play Bam at the backup power forward, and then just save up for a guy like Hakeem or Kareem as well. For me, I like Kareem a little bit more, but if you want a guy that can shoot a little bit better, then you can obviously go with a guy like Hakeem, because your center position is the only position that is lacking in my opinion. Also, I prefer a guy like Luol Deng over Grant Hill. They're about the same price. Grant Hill might be a little bit cheaper, so if you wanted to spend maybe an extra 20,000, 15,000 MT, go ahead and get yourself a Luol Deng. In my opinion, a lot better of a shooting guard than a guy like Grant Hill, but definitely for the center position, move Bam to the backup 4 and pick up a Kareem or a Hakeem as well. Just save up a little bit more MT and go pick up one of those guys. Like you got Ron Artest, you can maybe sell Wayne Embry. You could definitely sell and get up to a Kareem or a guy like Hakeem, but those would be my suggestions for your squad. And then guys, last team here of the video coming in from Ray. He's on Xbox Next Gen and about 350,000 MT after his auctions do sell. So looking at the squad here, another pretty good squad. I mean, I would say probably a 9 out of 10 looking squad. I mean, it's a very well constructed team, maybe an 8.5 because I'm not really the biggest fan of Kuzma, but yeah, I'd say probably in between 8.5 and 9, so maybe like an 8.7 or an 8.8 if you really wanted to go like to the decimals. But I'd say for the suggestions with 350,000 MT, definitely want to upgrade the small forward position. And if you want to go kind of cheap and maybe even the best option here, and that's going to be Cincinnati's Powell. I do think he's probably better than a guy like LeBron, but if you also wanted to try out LeBron, actually what I will say for this exact team, I think LeBron is better at the backup small forward position because you already got great offense from guys like Shea and Ricky Davis, where if you go Cincinnati's Powell, you're not going to be the greatest defensively, since he's definitely a good defender, but LeBron's 6'9" at small forward and probably a better defender than Cincy. So for me, I would say for this exact lineup, I'd pick up LeBron over a guy like Kyle Kuzma, over a guy like Cincinnati's Powell instead of using Cincinnati's Powell for this spot, even though I do think he's a little bit better. I'd probably use LeBron at the backup 3. If you wanted to get Cincy though to play over Carmelo Anthony, I do think he's a better small forward, and you you could definitely do that. But other than that, a really good squad. I like your front court, and I like your back court as well. I mean, you can maybe look to save up for a guy like Terry or a guy like Kazi, who I do think are a decent amount better than guys like Ricky Davis, or a guy like Ricky Davis. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Like I said earlier, let me know in the comment section down below, what is your guys team looking like right now, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions. And also don't forget to let me know how much MT you guys have, so I can actually give you guys suggestions with how much MT you're working with. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.